Is Tuesday, September 23rd, approximately 2 p.m. EST, 6:05 p.m. to be exact in Euro time, because we know how you guys like exact measurements. And today I have with me Marty, the one man party, your man to go to for any information on Brazil, as well as our in house Voltard. We have Denton with us, our in house trench warrior slash head of social
Good,
media.
good day, good day.
And we have Rod,
Exciting
who
times.
is our lead front end dev. Today, we're going to give you a first look and walkthrough of Kyan, our new exchange we've been working on. Well, what is Kyan? I guess I should talk about that first, other than just say the new exchange we've been working on. So Kyan is a low latency, high performant derivatives exchange built on Arbitrum with some standout features such as portfolio margin, combo trading, and RFQ. It's the evolution of 4 years of development in the option space. And we wanted to kind of create a one-stop shop for our users to be able to get an experience on par with traditional centralized exchanges while still retaining the transparency and security that being on chain offers. So what will Kyan launch with? We'll launch with options, perps, and the spot will follow shortly after. And who is Premia Labs? We didn't want you all to forget about Premia. I often find this issue in the branding world where people change they change names of the product and everyone's like, who is that? You know, we had like Maker and Sky, and you've had a handful of other ones throughout the years. But throughout the life cycle of us building Premia, there has always been Premium Labs, which was the development group that's building all of these tools for you to trade with. So we have Kyan, our new exchange that'll be coming out. And we also have Archetype that we've been working on for a little while now, which is a cross-chain meta aggregator. So you can get your spot swaps in there across a multitude of EVM compatible chains, as well as a more kind of user-friendly, more last cycle DeFi-esque options trading experience with some cool features like price protection. So we've been, as I mentioned, we've been working on Kyan now for quite some time, working in the option space for almost 4 years, and Kyan's been in development for over a year now. So just a reminder as we go through things, this is an alpha build. Things may break, but we're going to be moving into our public beta testnet very soon, coming the beginning of October. With that, I will kind of pass this on to Rod to give you a walkthrough and kind of show you how Kyan works. Let me bring up his screen, and Rod, on to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm Rod. I lead frontend at Kyan. This has been a baby in the making for a long time, as Cozy said. We've been doing options for a long time. Options is in our DNA. This is a derivatives platform, but options is the centerpiece at this point. Our goal with this version is to make sure professional option traders have all of the tools that they'll need to navigate the environment. At this point, if I recall correctly, the total open interest for crypto options is in the hundreds of billions at this point. So, crypto is volatile. Option traders are, in the end, volatility traders. This is like a perfect product for this environment. We love it too. And yeah, I'll give you a tour of what we have right now. As Cozy said, this is an alpha build, so I'm sure I'm going to have to refresh here and there just to make sure that things are perfect, but should be good enough for today's purposes. The app welcomes you the options trading page, the option chain. Our default market is Bitcoin. We'll launch with at least ETH and probably Arbitrum as well. Obviously, we have perps as our Delta One product for people to hedge. We're particularly proud of our combo trading system. More on that in a second. UI, UX wise, we basically wanted to give people that are familiar with Deribit an experience where they're familiar with it. They know exactly how things work. If you are a professional options trader, if you know Deribit, you should feel very comfortable in Kyan. But all of those things that felt like internet in the 90s that we didn't like from Deribit, we just figured how can we make this UI better. Among a few of those things involved, just having the drawer here, which has all of your positions, open orders, and RFQ responses, which you can just pop in and out at any point, and set your custom height. So it's a lot easier than navigating like a settings page where you can have like where you can plug things in and out. So at the drawer, and then we have a trade panel on the right side where you can basically make single leg trades regardless of where you are in the app. So our decision was, let's allow people to trade options regardless of where they are in the app. So even if you're on the perps page, you can trade options. If you're on the options page, you can trade perps, and so on. So we've been doing a lot of iterative development, getting feedback from the people. It's been amazing to hear all the responses from people that have had a chance to test our pre-alpha builds. And
big shout out to all of our testers.
So testers have been great. We've been getting a lot of feedback. We're iterating as fast as we can. Today I'm going to show you something that I think it's like version 1.10 alpha. Not perfect, not what you'll see in a couple of weeks, but very close to the final product.
You've got some fans, Rod. UTXOs in the audience. You want everyone to know you're a crack dev. And he said,
"Oh, thanks."
Dev. I let him know you're a dev who doesn't go out for smokes.
Thank you. Well, I'll take all the feedback, good and bad. I'm always available. So if you need to communicate anything through us, just make sure you reach us out either on Telegram or Discord, and whatever it is that you'll need, we'll make it happen in 2 to 10 weeks. Just kidding. Okay, so obviously one of the first things to so one of the first things to keep in mind is this is a big transition from our previous exchange. Most notably, this is using margin, and very specifically, this is using for the first version of the platform that we're launching, we're using portfolio margin. So that means that you get all of the margin, all of the leverage automatically. You always get max leverage. It's automatic. You don't get to choose, and all of the risk is contained within your portfolio. So basically, in this demo, we have a Bitcoin portfolio. The risk that I incur in Bitcoin is self-contained to Bitcoin, and so on. Big things to keep in mind is that this is all about risk management, which means that the things that I care about the most are these little
Rod.
Did we lose him?
Right in the heat.
He was on a roll.
If you like refresh the page or whatever, you get kicked.
All right, we'll get him back in here. Let's get Rod back.
Maybe his battery died.
Nah, he probably did that. He probably refreshed. Rod, no.
I can show mine, but I have I think my maintenance margin is like 4,000%, and I'm up 300 million on testnet or something.
I'll pull him. I don't have any. I have a blank slate, so I can.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, I don't want to
mine.
leak myself.
Doesn't get back on in the next like minute. There we go.
What happened?
I don't. If you refresh the screen, you might have lost you.
Oh, okay. So let me just share again. Give me
right in the middle of the roll.
Rod over Jeff, even with the connection issues. We know Jeff is very familiar with those.
I don't know what happened exactly. Was this something with me or?
We didn't kick you, so.
Yeah, could have just been the connection from the beautiful island you're connecting from. If you want to share the screen, I'll bring it back up.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should be good.
There we go.
I can't see your screen yet.
All right,
Are
we're
we?
good. We're back.
Okay, now it's good.
We are so
That's
sorry.
I mean, usually when I show people around, I just always take the example of somebody who's like a professional option seller. So the first thing we'll need is some equity. So let's deposit 50K, because why not? I want to get my wallet prompt. I'll deposit 50K in equity. Okay, looks like we're good. Let me refresh just to make sure. There we go. Okay, so my Bitcoin portfolio now has $50,000 of equity. And of course, things start to go off because it's a live demo. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're good. Anyway, so what's going on? Give me 1 more second. We have this beautiful floating crystal in the middle of the option chain.
Are you on VPN? That could be the only thing.
No. Let me just stop sharing for a second. I'll see if there's something going on with my connection. I'll start sharing.
I can share too. How do I no, I'm getting the crystal too.
If you go to share,
No, I'm still getting the crystal on my end.
Is it the
There we
right
go.
version of the beta? I mean, the alpha.
Mm-hmm. I'm up 380 million. It's the right one. But I'm still getting the crystal.
so while they're figuring that out, I'll just kind of go through like the evolution, because for those of you that haven't been with us for the last 4 years that I talked about, when we first launched as Premia, we went live in 2021 as a fully customizable decentralized order book. We allowed users to trade any of the top approximately 20 DeFi assets at the time, with the ability to set their own strikes, expirations, and premiums up to a year out, which was great in theory. I talked about this on the Blockmate stream, but like years later, Abracadabra tried to, copy the same thing. And we were like, hey, you can just, borrow our code if you want. It's not going to work the way you think it will. But what we quickly found out is that people don't know how to price options, right? So we were asked by our users, build a model that helps us, leads us in the right way to price options. So we built our V2, which was a pool-to-peer model, and presented as an AMM with single-sided vaults, which was really successful. But again, we wanted to be able to cater to more user groups. Talking to Marty and other people who are more on the Protail side, there were a lot of features that were missing, which led us to our V3 design, where we had features such as range orders. We introduced RFQ while still retaining some of those elements of V2 that people love the most. But there were still some things missing, mainly capital efficiency, which is kind of what led us to our V4. So when Rod is talking about, portfolio margin and these different margining systems that he'll bring up towards the end of the stream, that is what kind of was the guiding light to our V4 model, was making an exchange that was faster, that didn't do that in production won't do what this one's doing right here, where it's loading forever. Everything is pretty instantaneous, and being highly capital efficient so that users don't need to put up 10 ETH of collateral in order to interact with 10 ETH worth of contracts on the order book.
I guess the biggest thing is the portfolio margin, right? So when you're able to put on spreads and be more capital efficient, putting on call spreads, put spreads, condors, whatever you feel like you want to build, ladders, anything that you wanted to build, you can build it, and then you can instantly do a perp hedge. This is, a dream for options traders, not just for makers, but as takers too. If you wanted to put on a structure, not put as much capital up front, and ride that structure all the way through.
Kind of highlight that a bit. So if you want to go over just kind of these different strategies that we have. So if you all can see on my stream right now, I'm going to pull this up. We have the strategy builder. Those of you that have traded on Paradigm are probably pretty familiar with this layout and this UI. Wonderful layout. Great layout. One of the best layouts. and we took a lot of inspiration from that. But obviously, we kind of premified it and gave it our own kind of style. But go ahead, Marty, and you can kind of talk about how these are useful to you, when you would put on some of these different combos.
What's your favorite
Yeah,
combo, Marty?
Oh, all combos. Doesn't matter to me. I think that we can give a little bit of history, maybe like 30 seconds of history. So Deribit was the first big options exchange. I think it's like 2017 or 2018 that came out. They offered like an order book style and portfolio margin. But when bigger traders need to put on larger legs, they don't want to sit there on the book and fill 1,000 long, 1,000 short, and 1,000 long again to build some sort of butterfly. Or let's just use a call spread. They don't want to go 1,000 long one and 1,000 short the other. Your maintenance margin and your initial margin in your book will move instantly. Maybe you'll max out your margin. Where it was Paradigm. Greeks Live, a couple other guys have created like third-party platforms that connect and bring liquidity providers to traders that you could get off essentially any size that you want and build any sort of structure you want, get the quote that you want right now. I think Deribit has brought that in-house now, meaning that they offer it themselves. But here on Kyan, we're offering it right here to anybody. You don't need to be an institution. You don't need to be pro-tail. You can do it yourself. I think that there's minimum requirements in terms of sizing. It's going to be flexible, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as much as any of the other offerings, which is 250 ETH and 25 Bitcoin. So let's say you do a call spread, it would be 125 and 125. So 125 long, 125 short to equal that 250 to equal the minimum. I think Kyan will be a little bit less, allowing more accessibility for users, allowing, retail to turn into pro-tail. Because I know we have some guys always ping me like, oh, I want to put on a call spread, but I have $100. The call spread cost, $25, but I'm maxing out my margin before I can even build the leg, or they have to buy the option, then sell the option. Or if they want to close it out, they have to do that order in reverse and do it all manually. Where here on the combo trade, you can just do it all at once. Are we getting?
We're back.
Getting,
All right, we're back. Go ahead, Rod. You can pick up where you
Yeah.
left off.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, it seems like I just had to restart one of my bots or something. But anyway, we'll go back to the combo strategies and all the stuff that Mari was talking about in a second. One thing I just wanted to show you, which is the tool that I always give internally to people that are trying to learn how portfolio margin works and so on. I always tend to use the example of somebody who is like a professional options seller. Like when you sell options, you're gonna get a fair amount of margin. So like in the example, I'll just pick one of these Bitcoin instruments. Let's say I want to sell 2 full contracts. In this case, my 50K of initial equity is actually enough to sell 2. This would put me at 99% IMR, which means that I can still make this trade. At that point, I will not be able to add any more trades, but let's just do this for the sake of the example. Let me just pick a price here. I'm gonna make a trade. Let me just change my wallet. Here we go. Okay, we're good. Fresh. There we go. So in this situation, I have my position. I have like a short on this Bitcoin contract. The important thing to know is, I guess I mentioned, these are the values that you care about the most. My IMR is at 100%. My MMR always is a buffer behind. So at this situation, I cannot take any more risk. I can only reduce risk. And then if the price were to keep moving against me, it would potentially incur liquidation. Now, one of the important things that I always make is that your equity is essentially initial deposits plus, or I guess minus trade fees plus P&L. So the moment that you have any positions at all, in this case, I have this Bitcoin short, my P&L is up in the air. It's constantly changing with the index price. And so you would see that your equity fluctuates. This is a different experience that the users might be accustomed to if they were just doing like very simple isolated options. Here in this case, my entire portfolio is constantly up in the air. And if I were to potentially make trades that were to reduce my risk, this would then like potentially reduce my IMR, and then I could potentially continue to add more risk and potentially sell more options. This is like a key thing. Now, let's see. Let me take you back to the combo page for a second. So I think this was mentioned a few moments ago, but the biggest UI in this context was usually people talk about paradigm. So we model our combo building experience, strategy builder experience of a paradigm. Funny enough, Deribit also changed theirs to match a similar UI because this is just something that is way more intuitive. We added all of the basic strategies for options, and in our case, there are two sources of liquidity. You can match your orders straight from the order book, or you can request an RFQ. In case your size is much larger. What else?
I think the biggest thing here is that it matches with the order book too. So if you don't have the mega size to match the RFQ, which, let's say you have $1,000 or let's say $100, it's going to be way more beneficial for you to use this instead of going into the book and manually clicking around trying to build a 3-4 legged option, 4 legs with another perp hedge on top. Like, you'll be sitting there for 5 minutes, getting screwed trying to figure out your margin if you have a small account, where if you can just go right into the book, that's going to be ideal for majority of users. And I think most users should use a form of spread, probably call spread or put spreads to start out, to pick a directional view instead of aping calls or aping puts. It's quite rare that out the money options go into the money and profit. You probably should just buy in the money options or put on a call spread if you're just playing directional. You don't have to worry about the different Greeks if you're just playing a call spread. You're just worried about, is the price going to go above, like right now in this example, if the price is over 4,200, you cash at expiry. That's like a super simple way to look at call spreads.
You still there, Ron?
I'm here.
Okay.
I just what else should I go into?
All right, maybe after combos, let's see, we've already gone through. Let's talk about maybe how this is a different experience from the older premium protocol and isolated margin, like with perps.
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest thing is going to be liquidity on the book. So the previous version, for sellers, you had to post 100% collateral to sell an option. So if you sell one Bitcoin option, let's say that premium is $100. So for me to make $100, I have to post $112,000, which is absolutely insane. It lives and it's good and true for purist DeFi, but it's not as good for bringing liquidity onto the book. When you're looking to pair, buyers and sellers, there's no discrepancies about collateral. It's 100% collateral. It makes sense. But when you're looking to, I want to quote a whole book, I want to provide, deep liquidity for users, it just doesn't work essentially. So that would be the biggest change for Kyan is you'll have a full order book, you'll have deep liquidity on the book. You won't have to teeter totter and try to figure out which contracts have liquidity, which don't. They'll all have liquidity. Of course, there will be a spread involved, but with portfolio margin, we'll be able to tighten up that spread. So we should be right in par with Deribit, OKX, Bybit, the likes of whatever Derive and any other DeFi protocol as well. So competitive pricing, competitive spreads, deep liquidity, that's the biggest difference. If you're looking to come from a perp trader experience only, where you are just long and short perps, it probably will not feel familiar to you at all because the margin will be totally different. It's not at current stage like isolated margin, where isolated margin is I have $100, I 10x it, my position is $1,000, and it's just limited to that. That's not necessarily how this will work on day one. Isolated margin is in the roadmap, but for day one, it's, I don't want to say forced, but fixed to portfolio margin. So perps, you can trade directional, they'll be much better used as a hedging for your options versus trying to long or short directionally with perps. You still can, it just won't work exactly how it works on a perp dex. It will work exactly how it works on Deribit or on
It balances out your risk based on
it
your
balances out your
risk.
deltas
You
if you can.
don't choose your leverage like you would on a normal system
Yeah,
with perp, but it
We're a
balances it out.
very aggressive in our margining system. We don't have, just to be clear, we won't have at launch your directional 10 to 20x that you're used to on a perp exchange. As Marty said, we built a Deribit style margining system where volatility becomes a trading system. And that is kind of our pillar and the baseline and the route of all the additional features that we're going to end up offering.
You can see right here on the right, he's building a perp trade. So he's short those contracts. Now he's going to buy 50K of perp. His fees are there, his execution price, because I think he's just going to market into it. But his IMR and MMR, which is his initial margin ratio and maintenance margin ratio, drop 10 to 20 handles, 10 to 20 points, depending on which. And you can see his deltas there go from minus 0.3 to 0.1. So, Rod, on day one, are we going to have the instant delta hedger, the one button, or
Yeah.
are we okay? So on day one, let's say you have a whole book of options. I don't know, you have 20 deltas, you have 50 deltas, whatever, and you want to delta hedge it out. You'll have a one click option to hedge out all your deltas. You can see here he did it manually. He's short those two positions with his delta at 0.3. He's long 50K perp, and his delta right there is 0.4. So his total is 0.1 something. So that's the first use case or first day use case for perps. It's going to be super unfamiliar for directional perp traders.
UTXI.
Yeah, and just very quickly, so this is part of the example that I wanted to get into. So I basically used 100% of my margin selling those two contracts, but then I was able to hedge or neutralize my risk partially with the perp. And now that my perp is down a little bit, or I guess now that my risk is down a little bit, I can technically go and sell even more contracts. Just this is not necessarily something you would want to do, but I think this is just a very clear illustration of how risk reducing trades impact your IMR and MMR, and how that plays out into your whole like risk taking strategy and ability to trade and whatnot.
Yeah, so IMR is initial margin ratio, MMR is maintenance margin ratio. I guess the one sentence is initial margin is the minimum amount of margin required to open a position versus maintenance margin, which is the minimum amount of margin required to keep the position open. So if you start maxing out your IMR, means you can't open new positions, but doesn't mean that you get liquidated. If your maintenance margin is getting towards 100%, you're going to start getting liquidated. That doesn't mean that you can't open positions that are lowering your risk. Yeah, risk lowering.
I can
You
talk about
can't.
this a little bit.
Yeah,
So
you can't open new
first I'll
positions
answer
that add to your risk.
these two questions. For UTXO and Mr. Moisty, we have an API that's available when it comes to options for builders and for market makers. If you want to get access to that after the stream, just I'll put you in a room. We can get you whitelisted and get you some docs. Now, touching on liquidations a bit, because we started veering into that. Liquidations are very complex in options compared to on perps on compared to perp dexes. And as they were kind of saying, once your MMR has gone above one on our exchange, then you will fall into our liquidation process. The first thing we try to do is reduce the directional exposure of the portfolio. We then reduce positions from a user account after that. So we start with the most risky. And in some cases, a user only needs to be delta hedged, which means unlike for like a lot of other perp dexes and exchanges that you're used to, when you go into liquidation state, it doesn't mean you're fully liquidated. You're not going to lose all your money. The exchange actually tries to delta hedge you first so that you don't lose any money, maybe outside of paying the fee for the perp. So the kind of the process it goes to is a user position is broken into one of three groupings. It goes remove directional exposure. Did it help? No, it didn't. Okay, remove positions. Did it help? No, remove more positions. Does this account need a delta hedge? No. Okay, remove a position. Our target is to get a user to get you from overexposure on your maintenance margin to your initial margin ratio, which is about a 20% difference. So you can think of it as a much, it's a funny word to use in the sense of talking about liquidations, but it's a much friendlier experience than on traditional exchanges where your account's taken over and you're done for. Like, you just have to kind of sit there and pray that it starts going in the other direction. And kind of why we do this is we like hedging with perps because they're significantly more liquid. They're easy to get in and out of and to control the direction of the user portfolio. So getting in and out of options can be really expensive. So we really try hard to preserve the exposure that the user has while reducing the risk of their overall portfolio.
But that's not to say that you can't be fully liquidated.
Yes,
It's just not the
100%.
first step. So when you enter liquidation, they start delta hedging. But like, let's say you have a move like Sunday, at some point the delta hedge doesn't work anymore. You don't have any more money to cover the hedge. Hedging isn't free, and you can be forced liquidated for majority or all. That's not the first step, but it definitely is.
Yes, 100%. To clarify, you can still be fully liquidated, but the key thing is that the system will not automatically default to or isn't one directional to where you move into liquidation state and then that's it. You have to hope that it goes in the other direction. There are steps and a process it goes through to try to preserve your portfolio as much as it can before reaching that state. And a lot of times that can be solved by sometimes if you have up to 6 legs, maybe only 2 of those legs have to be removed and then a hedge can be put on and your portfolio is safe from there. Maybe it only needs a delta hedge before any positions are removed. Or maybe in Marty's instance that he was giving you example, nothing's going to save you.
Yeah.
But
At
there
some
are
point,
steps
nothing's
to try to preserve a user's portfolio pre-entering being fully liquidated.
I think
Maybe
that's a
we
big
talk about before
difference.
we bridge into post mainnet features. Maybe we talk about kind of what makes our RFQ special. You want to dive into that a bit? Show the RFQ. I don't know if you've got it up and running it. If you can give some examples of, or you can show live kind of how that works. But I'll start it off and just say like our quotes are aggressive, and you can trade.
Give me 1 second.
This isn't somewhere I talked with Molly a bit about this online, but you're going to be able to come and trade size on Kyan. We're not going to scalp on fees. We're not going to scam you on liquidations. We're giving people kind of exactly what has been missing in the option space. And, you know, UTXO brought up Hyperliquid in his question. And I hate, comparing us or even like our architecture or anything like that. But everyone's saying like, we're the Hyperliquid of X, Y, or Z. But what I like to tell people is we're going to do for options what Hyperliquid did for perps. And our architecture that we built, this kind of hybrid model, allows for that.
The hybrid
That's
model
right.
also is faster. It allows the risk engine to compute everything off chain. It's the future, right? Like it allows the system to work and to run, and for makers to bring liquidity for users to trade. Without it, it's never going to have the deep liquidity that institutions need to trade. When it comes to RFQ, you can do single leg, you can do multi-leg, you can do a combo. As I said, on other exchanges, it's 250 ETH. That's a lot. I'm not sure exactly the number for Kyan, but I think it's going to be a little bit less than 250 ETH and less than 25 Bitcoin to allow more users accessibility to doing the RFQ. But let's say on the book there's only 5 at the best bid or 10 at the best bid. You can just fire off 25, 500, 200, whatever size that you wanted to get. The maker receives the quote. The maker fires back an RFQ, and the RFQ is just request for quote. So they fire back the quote, and you have X amount of time to accept or cancel your RFQ. The maker, as the market moves, will also change the quote. So if you're trying to fire an RFQ and the market is in free fall and you're trying to knife catch an option, maybe on the book there's 10 at the best bid, but the maker will give you 100 right below that best bid. Maybe it doesn't exactly match the book, but this is kind of like the tactics of makers. Maybe it's not the best quote, but you don't want to sit there and go through the whole book and try to get 1,000 or get 100. The maker will give you 100 right now at this price. It may not be the best price, as in terms of there's only 5 or 10 on the book, but you can get off that 100 size right now. I would say that with multi-legs, you are going to get tighter and better pricing than you are with single legs, because us as makers, we want you to cross that spread and we want you to go through the book. That's kind of where we make money, right? So if you're trying to get 1,000 lot off, we want you to cross the spread a little bit. So we'll give you a price. You can take it or not. As the market moves, the quote gets updated, and it is with WebSocket. So it will be real-time quotes. It's not like you're going to have a delay or you're going to have to wait minutes or hours for a quote. It will be instant.
Beautiful. All right,
Some
let's move into
makers, we want you to cross the spread.
let's move into post roadmap or post mainnet features. We've talked a lot about what you'll be able to do come testnet and once we initially go live. But after we're live, we have a few things on the roadmap that we want to reveal to everyone. Starting with the first thing, isolated margin. As we explained in the beginning, when we go live with Kyan, portfolio margin will be the only type of margin available, but isolated margin will be coming shortly after. So Rod, you want to give a little bit of an update and intro into what that will look like on Kyan?
Sure. You're talking about isolated margin or?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think this would be particularly interesting for people that are perp traders. Perp traders love being able to set the amount of leverage they want to take on that trade. Currently, in the context of portfolio margin, that's just basically, as I mentioned in the beginning, you just get max leverage by default. If you were to just come and do one simple perp trade, you might get something like 4x leverage. But if you're taking a risk-reducing trade, we might give you even more leverage because it's all about risk management. Once we bring up isolated margin, you're going to be able to specify exactly how much leverage you want to take on any given trade, because every given trade could be its own isolated bucket, either for options or perps. But as you know, right now, basically every single position plays together in your portfolio, assuming they are for that same market. So all of your Bitcoin positions, be that an option or a perp, are taking together. Once we release isolated margin, you're gonna be able to take simple bets on individual positions and specify your leverage. So yeah, I think obviously it's important that to mention that this will happen in both options and perps. But I think in my mind, bringing isolated margin to perps is just essentially going to bring our perp offering more on parity with something like Hyperliquid or all of the other perp specific exchanges users might be familiar with, that have those UIs with their individual leverage slider and so on.
Go ahead, Marty.
I think you mentioned it, but I think I kind of want to add on to it. So on day one, all the derivatives are USTC based, so options and perps. There will be cross collateral in the future, so you can post Bitcoin, you can post the ETH, you can post Arbitrum, whatever is going to be in the roadmap.
We'll go live with those three.
Yeah, you're not going to have one-to-one just like you are at any other exchange. So let's say with Bitcoin, maybe they give you 75% of the value or 85% of the value in the cross calculation, but that will allow users to post whatever collateral they have and be able to trade options or even hedge out, post one Bitcoin and use it to trade. It is different. And I think there is now becoming a move away from coin margin contracts. I know people still love it. I know people miss the BitMEX days, but I think it's slowly moving, and we're seeing Deribit do it. We're seeing OKX do it. We saw Bybit's offering, and now Kyan moving away from the cross collateral and moving into just stable coin margins. That's not to say that, or I guess P&L, you can move one Bitcoin over and use it to trade, but your P&L is going to be in coin. And I think it's also worth mentioning that the Bitcoin, the ETH, and the Arbitrum portfolios are all separate. So if you're getting liquidated or fully liquidated on the Bitcoin portfolio, that does not affect your ETH portfolio, or I think Arbitrum will be there eventually, but or your Arbitrum portfolio. So it's all three different. I think that's worth mentioning for people as well.
So before we get into conditional orders, I'll just talk about this a bit since we're talking about the alt markets. We'll go live with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Arbitrum markets, but we do plan to add additional listings. Our kind of mindset on that is not what a ticker is, but do they meet certain conditions? So there are different liquidity conditions, as well as
infrastructure requirements.
Yeah, other requirements that we're going to have. And as long as an asset meets those requirements, we'll be able to add it to the exchange. Now, we're going to be kind of meticulous about that. So we will have a listing process, whether that's a voting process or a submission process. We'll announce that as we get over mainnet. But the plan is we will not forever only have those three markets. We're just launching with those three, and then we will begin to slowly add markets from there. So let's jump into conditional orders a bit. What are conditional orders, and why is that important for Kyan?
Should I take this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So keeping with the examples that we have, like in this case, for example, I have this short position for a Bitcoin call option. If I wanted to close this position, I mean, right now it's P&L is negative, but if this P&L were to be positive right now, and I wanted to close those profits, I would have to then, like in previous versions of Premia, you essentially buy the opposite to close. So in this case, this is a short. I sold 2 contracts. Now I have to buy 2 contracts in order to close this position. So essentially, you can do that like at our market rate right now, or create a limit order to sell, or in this case, to buy to close at a given price at which you know what your profits will be at that point. For the current version, you're gonna have to do that manually by creating a limit order with the price that you want to do. So once we have conditional trades, you're gonna be able to make this in a more programmatically fashion, where you can say, I'm gonna buy this position, but then automatically or only trade based on some criteria, just to make sure that you have those steps automated. You want to add anything to that, Cozy?
Yeah, I think people forget that fees are the killer of profit. So if you're doing limit orders, you pay less fees than you would at a market order. You also potentially could be filled at a better price. This is just testnet, but there's a $9 spread there or so, a little bit less, but okay, $9 spread. Okay, now it's a $20 spread. Now it's a $9 spread. Like if you're paying that spread on 100 contracts or 1,000 contracts, that eats into your profit. So if you're posting limits, you're getting lower fees on the order, and if somebody else crosses the spread, you get filled at a better price, making more profit for you. I know people. I see in perps land, like you have $1 million P&L, you banked $1 million, but you spent 150 grand in fees, or in funding, or in crossing the spread or whatever. Okay, but maybe if you didn't cross the spread, you weren't going to get that fill, right? You wouldn't have that profit. So you have both sides of it. I would say in less liquid markets, like I saw somebody trading like a Brazil ETF, a huge influencer guy, and he was like, screw this ETF, it's down 2% or something, and now it's at all-time high today. But he crossed the spread and lost like another 20% because he fired like 2,000 contracts or 2,000 size into like, an emerging market ETF. And I think he even wicked the Google chart, the price chart. That's how bad it was. It was like $100 difference on 2,000 or 200, whatever it was. So I would say with these conditional orders, it's not just like a fill or kill or a good until canceled. I would say stick with limits if you're just learning out, pay less fees, have somebody else cross the spread. Unless it's something super, super urgent, you should rarely have to cross the spread. And I also would say in options land as well, if there's a super fat spread, fire an RFQ, see if you get a better price. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe there's a reason that there's a price at that price. And also I would post the limit order around the mid or around the mark. And usually somebody is running a bot that picks up orders at mid or at mark. So if there's $100 spread, you put it, at a $50 spread, somebody might come in and take that order because they feel that it's fair value for that contract. You can, especially in options land, when there's, sometimes there's $100 spread, where in perp sometimes it's like 1 penny, or there's, let's say, no spread at all. Who cares if you market order minus fees, right? Of course, fees are still the killer of profit, but especially in options land where there's, $10 spreads, $100 spreads, posting near that mark, posting a limit and just waiting on it for a few seconds, or sometimes it's even filled instantly, is some alpha there for new users.
So as we said, at launch, we are not going to be, we're not aimed at necessarily the perp experience for perp traders. But as you can see, with all these additions we'll be making to our margining system, we will soon reach feature parity with our fellow perp industry leader perps exchanges. We've got a long way to go, but I want to thank everyone and just let you know that we will be going live with the public beta early October. So if you're interested in that, if you're in, Marty's Telegram chat, or if you're just watching us here on Twitter, follow Kyan, our Twitter page. You can sign up for updates and for the newsletter on Kyan.blue right now. Or you can just, see me sporadically shitpost and share stuff about Kyan and know from that. But we will be going live with a public testnet first. We'll have it in the form of a trading competition. We'll be broken up into two different, we'll call them epochs, where if you don't have to worry if you are on vacation or if you miss the first week. It's not going to be like other competitions where you need to necessarily be there from day one to win any prizes or help us do our kind of behavioral stability audit. I want to give us a couple minutes now just to leave it open for questions. If anyone has any questions for us, feel free. We'll kind of just be quiet for the next minute or two, and happy to take any of those and answer them as we go. I know UTXO, we already answered yours, but feel free if you have any other questions about builder related stuff. Rod is one of the guys to ask about that.
Well, I just got a text 0. That's not a good sign. It's going to 0.
0 questions or
Both. No. The market is going to 0.
Price is going to 0.
He said 0. I'm sorry.
We've been watching it fluctuate around 4,100. So
TG. So we will have crystals. I know you guys you love the points meta. We will have crystals. I'm not saying that it's equal to a token whatsoever.
Blue crystals.
Yeah, but there will be something for you to earn along the way. We're not going to rush a new token by any means. It is 100% of my opinion that until the market kind of demands that and sees the use for it, that we shouldn't be releasing one. Strictly USDC, no USDT, strictly USDC in the beginning, but we will be adding different types of collateral down the line. As a USDT maxi myself, I'm here with you, little BTC.
No, I think the cross collateral is great. Bitcoin, ETH, USDC, USDT, pretty much everything besides like straight memes you'll be able to post as collateral is on the roadmap.
Also, one final thing that I'll say is we're gonna start working on separate like educational product, if you will, which is like another version of our old Academy product. This one is not going to, it will teach you how to trade options, but more importantly, it's going to teach you how to trade options in a portfolio margin environment, which is essentially how to become a professional options trader. So I think, so this is going to be a good platform to learn how to step up your options game. You might already trade options, but buying a call option or a put option every now and then is basically level 1. So if you want to level up your skills and actually use something that professional options traders use and actually learn how to use it, stick around because we'll have ways for you to learn.
On the LP pool question, we're not going to have just a base or solo type of LP pool, but there will be strategy vaults for users coming down the line. Much like we had vaults in all our other versions, there will be different types of strategy vaults available to users after mainnet goes live. So one other thing I want to show you, as Rod was talking about educational stuff, we're revamping our academy. So those of you that are familiar with the Premium Academy, we'll have a Kyan Academy. They'll kind of take you through, and as Rod said, we'll help teach you how to trade options with our margining system. Aside from that, something we've been working on also is our help center. So for those of you that have questions about how different things work on the platform, you'll be able to come to this nice, pretty help center, go into different things, and why is my account level at risk?
All the terminology.
Liquidate. What's this email?
For traders, they don't know the terminology.
Fellas, I think but
also you're gonna be able to talk to an AI if you prefer to talk to an AI.
Yeah, there's a little chat center here for you guys to chat with. If you just reading isn't really the thing you want to do, you need someone to give you the answer right here on the page. So we're really working hard on having all of the tools that all of our users will need to be successful in coming to trade on Kyan. Wacka, yeah, you can sign up on Kyan.blue for updates on the Academy. Trollbox, Lil BTC, we had a Trollbox actually. I'm trying to think what version. Rod, do we still have the kind of, I mean, we'll probably have to update it, but I'm pretty sure we still have the architecture set up to have something like that.
I'm sure we can come up with something.
Yeah, we worked on that for a little bit. We had a Trollbox that we were going to use for our, I think, V3. So we can definitely do that. Anything else from anyone? We're coming up on the hour mark, so I don't want to keep Rod too long. I know he's got a lot of polishing to do.
Like figuring out why spinning crystals come up in the middle of demo.
I honestly think it's your connection because it wasn't happening on mine or Marty's screen.
You said
Could be.
rod polishing?
What's that?
You said rod polishing?
Rod. On that note, I want to thank
Right.
everyone
Thank you.
for taking the time to join us today. Feel free to shoot me a DM, Marty, or the Kyan account. If you have any questions, if you want to be set up with more information on the APIs, integrating as a market maker, anything along those lines, we're here to help you out. We're super excited for the Kyan launch. And again, we're just finishing up our last phase of alpha testing with our alpha testers. Thank you very much to all of you who have joined us for that. And beta tests will be going live in just a couple weeks. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Hopefully we don't go to zero like Marty's buddy texted him. And we will see you all back in tomorrow on Eden if you want to join us. Maybe we'll show off just a little more. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Denton.